Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Yoruus speaking and welcome to the introduction summary video for multiplayer game number 58. Now, I'm sorry about such a late update. Such a late upload. This game was probably ready for upload like before this weekend, but I just didn't have the time to make the introduction summary video, so I'm pretty much sorry about that, but as usual, family come first before YouTube, so yeah, basically I'm gonna leave this at that. So as I said, this game was like played at least a week and a half ago. So this is a free-for-all, no-quitters 6-player game. As usual, I remind, No Quitters is a Steam group that gathers people who just want to play Civ without people quitting on them. So you can find the link to the group profile on my main channel page in the About sections. Just go there, check the link, check the profile, read the rules, join the chat, and ask a moderator for an invite. So this short video will compose basically of two parts. In the first part I will introduce the game, settings and players, and later on I will talk about the game, give some screenshots and get a summary of the game. So if you do not want to know how the game went, stop watching after the initial introduction and go to the second position of the playlist where the actual game starts. So in this game we've got Super Hans, Baba Yetu, Super Hans playing as Inca, Baba Yetu playing as Egypt, NQ Prosperous playing as Celts, NQ Shumi 16 playing as Japan, NQ Lucky Strike playing as Portuguese, and I'm rolling Persia in this game. This is a Pangea medium water settings, if I remember correctly, and no strategic balance. So yeah, Lucky Strike is the host. He wants those games random as much as possible. Basically, so pretty strong players, pretty strong civs. It's going to be an interesting game, if you want to believe me and take my word for it. Alright, so that's it for the initial introduction. So if you do not want to know how the game went, stop watching right now and go to the second position of the playlist where the actual game starts. I landed in a pretty isolated spot. Well, basically I had a nice piece of land, finally had a nice piece of land for myself. So I was going for city liberty, like liberty settler, into monarchy, in tradition, if I believe correctly, into national college, and then adding as much cities as possible. This was my general idea for this game. My closest neighbor was NQ Prosperous, and on his west side he had Super Hans, and Super Hans rolled crazy Hanging Gardens, Petra, Inca capital with terrace farms. Wow, that just those sounds just so amazing that actually Prosperous would have a lot of trouble if I would actually want to be in this game. I would need to help NQ Prosperous and do not try to use the situation and actually try to fight him, which is obviously not the best. Well, it's obviously not the greatest idea, because basically when you go liberty, if you want to catch up to tradition for city players, you really need to invest a lot of hammers into infrastructure. You really don't want to go to war that early if you want to catch up later on. So I was not super happy about that, but I was definitely convinced that helping NQ Prosperous to defend or even kill Super Hans is just the best way to do it, because as usual in my games with NQ Shumi, most of them is like he's absolutely far away from me, and actually doing anything to stop him from doing his glass cannon tradition science focused build is pretty much impossible. This is basically what happened in this game. It would seem that I'm absolutely different side of the map than actually Shumi is. Situation was not looking that great. The only thing that actually kept NQ prosperous in this game, I think, well, I did try to help him, but that help was not that. I definitely didn't go 100% on trying to help NQ prosperous, just because I wanted to prioritize science first, so I can actually have a chance to catch up to Enki Shumi and Super Hans later on. But thankfully Enki Prosperous put up a great wall, and he was trying to slow Super Hans down. He lost a city, but I was still trying to reinforce him with some units, so he was actually fighting back, and with crossbows he was able to retake the city, if I remember correctly, and basically put up a little bit of counter attack. The problem is I did spend some hammers on trying to actually help him, so I was trying to send him a lot of units. Hopefully that was just enough to slow Super Hans down. I made a decision that well, cost me a lot later on. Well, basically, Shumi, as I said, Shumi was all alone on the other side of the continent, and basically I thought, like, okay, well, initially I was building frigates to help out NQ Prosperous, so I could actually take Super Hans cities that were on coast. The problem was that they were absolutely unreachable. This map script just, that was like crazy. Basically, if I would want to reach Super Hans, if I remember correctly, I would need to kill Egypt, and I don't think I would even be able to kill Egypt, because Egypt had cities like he had a small sea that you can only access from my side through his city, but you couldn't pass any further. So basically the cities, coastal cities of Super Hans, were absolutely unreachable. And moreover, and what's even more interesting, NQ Shumi's cities, he had a inland sea as well. So he basically had his capital and his, I don't know, second or third city with an inland sea without any need of naval units. So facing with those options, I mean, like, I already built a fleet. So I was like thinking, okay, I don't really want to backstab Shumi. I do want to slow him down. So probably the best option then is to use that fleet to actually try and slow him down, because I cannot help Prosperous with those ships. So basically, long term, it would be the best just to try to slow down Shumi, because he was just going away as usual with 4 city, extra science, and all that good stuff. So basically, I decided to attack Shumi. I did misjudge a little bit ability of NQ Prosperous to hold off the attack, and basically Super Hans, well, it was looking like he was in trouble, because NQ Prosperous was able to get a citadel almost on top of his capital, but the science was just too great, and Super Hans got to cavalry and artillery first. So basically that started to look pretty bad. But I was able to take 2 coastal cities from Shumi, and I was really hoping that this will allow to this will slow him down just enough so I can deal with Super Hans. I was really hoping like that NQ Prosperous will stay alive, and then we could deal with Super Hans, and later on help Lucky Strike basically deal with Shumi, hopefully. So this was the initial plan at this point of the game. Slowly problems started to arise basically. So NQ Prosperous was not able to hold long enough for me to actually be able to help him, because I kind of decided for myself, a little bit egoistic, that I need to get to public schools first before I will go for artillery, to be able to catch up in science. So I absolutely did that. Well, basically, NQ Prosperous, thank you very much for supporting this game. Well, we kind of try to support each other. I just made a little bit too many mistakes, I guess, with decision making. So I was not able to save him, but definitely my efforts bought me a lot of time. to actually get to artillery, get to public schools, and get to artillery just in time for Super Hans to finish off Prosperous capital. And he actually decided at that point that he will attack me through Ergili. I was kind of expecting that he will attack Tarsus, but he didn't came from that side yet. He didn't take the Celt city, so he attacked from Ergili. Enkiu Lucky Strike did not help me at this part of the game. Basically, he was worried about Japan. Well, I was able to get those Shumi's 2 cities, which in long term basically meant that he will probably try to win by military, because he's not able to catch up in science. So maybe a little bit of bad call on that part as well. But anyway, Super Hans did try to attack me. I lost the city. I retook the city. Then he just destroyed that. Delaying, I replanted then, if I remember correctly, but that delayed my Oxford University for quite a bit. So basically I was 1 city behind again. So not a huge blow, but a blow definitely that hurt me. And after that initial attack, when he actually failed, I made a crucial mistake in this game. I believe that at this point of the game I had a nice military advantage, I had a nice production advantage, and what I should have done is actually follow up and counterattack Super Hans and try to take his capital down, like take Valletta and take Cusco down. But after his initial attack, I decided like, okay, let's have peace and let's agree not to fight with each other until Shumi is dead. Because generally I still thought that Shumi is really crazy ahead in science and he will be a huge threat later on. Sadly, I was a little bit mistaken, which I will show you just in a second. Well, as I was saying before, things changed dramatically. Well, dramatically, maybe not dramatically, but well, overall, what happened from the previous screenshot to this side? Well, as I said, I made peace with Super Hans. At the same time, Super Hans decided to take the remaining Celt cities close to my borders. But we kind of agreed that we will not fight until Shumi is dead. If I will not go for a deployment, we can actually see that on this screenshot in the chat. So basically, I kind of believed him. Well, not entirely 100%, but at some point I decided, when I saw that Lucky Strike is in a dire need of assistance, I kind of decided like, screw it. I believe you, Super Hans, and I will put like almost 100% help to Lucky Strike, so Shumi will not be able to kill him, which probably this is another point of the game when actually things could end a little bit differently, because if actually Shumi would get in here, maybe we could have some sort of an approach to actually deal some damage to him. But well, I managed to save, well, Lucky Strike saved himself, of course, in the end, but I gave him just enough units to basically hang on a thread. His capital was absolutely red, but he managed to do it, and he survived, and he actually tried to counter, which didn't work that well, but he survived, so Lucky Strike was kept in this game. And actually, Enki Shumi was like, I believe at this point, Shumi was not sure what to do. I mean, like, Super Hans was definitely growing like crazy. He had 2 capitals in his possession, and his capital, his initial capital, was just so crazy insane. That city was just crazy. The only thing that it missed was like an observatory, but that would be just too much. Basically, it had so much hills with petrol, hanging gardens, with terrace farms, just pure amazing. So okay, so this is end for this screenshot, and I will show you the next what actually did happen. Okay, so here you can see Super Hans' empire. So basically a 40 population capital with farm hills, Petra farmed hills, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Petra terrace farms, of course a hydro plant, a river, just pure craziness, great general waiting for use, 40 population, so pretty much crazy stuff basically. Plus 2 coastal cities that I was mentioning earlier on, unreachable by sea, and of course Edinburgh, Truro and Dublin, the Celt cities that he decided to leave for himself. So yeah, this is how it looked, and now let me show you what happened. And this is what happened. Super Hans got nuked. He was so far ahead, well, he was getting crazy ahead, but English humanity decided it would be better to slow him down a bit. I don't know why. Probably because he was in reach, I think. Basically, we made peace after saving Lucky Strike. Me and Shumi made peace, deciding that actually Super Hans is more ahead than any of us, and he will be a real threat to winning this game. So they had a nuclear war, basically Egypt against Super Hans, and Super Hans against them. So basically, Shumi decided to nuke Super Hans' capital, and he was not getting a shelter yet. He was not getting a shelter yet, so he basically lost a lot of population. That was a huge blow for him. So basically that slowed him down quite a bit. So at this stage of the game, I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy. I was hoping like, oh yeah, great, actually those things are basically balancing out with each other, and I'll get my bomb shelters and I will be able to finally catch up in science and maybe get a win finally. But yeah, things started to look a little bit, the things went a little bit other way than I was really hoping for. So this is another turn point of the game. Now I was preparing? I was kind of playing on two sides as usual. This is diplomacy, right? So I had the deal with Super Hans that we will not fight each other until Shumi is dead. So I was slowly preparing to go for Shumi with not that really intention to actually take his capital out. Well, I would like to take his capital out, but I didn't really have a possibility to do it. But well, Superhan was at the same time taking out Egypt, so was working slowly on Shumi from the north side. But Shumi, surprisingly, of course, after nuking Superhan's capital, he was definitely not going to forget my earlier backstab, and somewhere in his mind he was decided to nuke everyone, probably, and get a military domination victory. I was kind of expecting this, so I had a fleet ready, basically fleet ready to see the submarines at the passage from Kabul to my side and on the other side of my land, so actually he couldn't nuke my capital. And I saw this submarine, this little old submarine in here with 2 nuclear missiles, so I was like, Shumi, you little low, and I'm gonna nuke you and I'm gonna destroy the nuclear submarine. So yes, I did that. I nuked his capital. He had a shelter, so the damage was minimal, and I did take away this nuclear submarine. And what's most important, there was a vote on World Congress with nuclear non-proliferation, or that's what that word is, just banning the nukes basically. So I was kind of hoping like, okay, I nuked his capital, no more nukes. I nuked his nuclear submarine. There's absolutely no more nukes on this map. And I was slowly working towards stealth bombers and actually trying to kill Shumi from range with XCOM and stealth bombers, like take away Kabul with a little bit of ships combination and stuff like that, while at the same time slowly cruising towards science victory. But again, things got a little bit more complicated at the end. Let me just show you what happened. So basically, I was super happy at this stage of the game. I even was not focusing 100% on science. I was pumping my production into military units to actually try and take Shumi down at the same time. But because I had my order finisher, so I was missing like one tech, so I had almost perfect timing, and I should be able to get a win like maybe 1 or 2 turns before Super Hans. So I was basically super happy at this stage of the game. Yeah, and I was not expecting what was supposed to happen. As you can probably see on this screenshot, my capital is not surrounded yet. I decided to actually surround my capital because I was afraid about XCOMs dropping on me from Shumi, because we didn't make peace after me nuking his capital and killing his submarine. So I was starting to like move my troops to my capital, and I was like 2 turns to get the last part, and I think I micro science a little bit in the next turn, so I was actually like 4 turns to particle physics. So when my part in Persepolis would end, I would get the tech to engineer the last part, so basically like 5-6 turns from here for victory basically. So turn 211 or something like that, I should be able to reach a victory. But something absolutely unexpected happened. So Shumi decided like, no, you're not gonna be happy in this game. You shall not win, or even be close to winning. So basically, I got nuked. As you can see on this spot, I'm actually science focused, so if I wouldn't be nuked and I had my great engineer, I would end on turn 210. I should be able to launch the spaceship. So turn 210. Keep that in mind. But I got nuked twice. So I made a huge mistake. Basically, by the vote where nukes were banned, and I was like, I killed the submarine with 2 nuclear missiles. I had the control of his south city. I was like, okay, there's no more nukes on this map. I'll just move my troops and try to free that city-state and just fight. And that was a huge mistake. Before the vote, Shumi was able to buy 2 nukes. And more importantly, he still had a city on that little piece of ocean between Egypt and Super Hans. So he built a nuclear missile there, a nuclear submarine there. He went all the way north through the ice, and I actually did not protect those 2 spots because my fleet was in south. I was not expecting it absolutely. First of all, I was not expecting more nukes in this game, and I was not actually paying attention anymore to nuclear submarines from the north. I absolutely forgot about the ice on the north, that he has a city in there, and that he could have nukes. So a huge mistake on my part, and Shumi decided he will go for me to take some sort of a revenge for my attack earlier on. So he decided to help Super Hans. Super Hans wins. So I lost my great engineer that I had in the capital. I had a lot of XCOM coming my way. I lost a lot of troops to the 2 nukes because, you know, like I got first nuke, I surround the city, I got nuked, I surround the city, I got nuked. XCOM landing and stuff like that, so pretty bad things happened. My capital was absolutely useless now with all those tiles destroyed and burned out. I didn't lose that much population, but the production was just not good. But basically I could finish the game even without the nukes. With the nuke in here, if I had that great engineer, I would be able to finish the game in 4 turns. 211, but if I wouldn't get nuked, I would be able to finish the game on 210. But 2 nukes plus a lot of XCOM, and this is what we get. So this is a look at the finishing demographics. Super Hans won, turn 211. So he was 1 turn slower than me. after all those wars, after all those backstabs, changes in diplomacy, nukes flying around, the like the difference. Well, of course, if I wouldn't be nuked at the end, that's like one turn discrepancy. Like here, I think I was still like 4 turns away from building the last spaceship part. So basically, GG, Super Hunts, nice job, pretty awesome job, great capital. I mean, like that Inca capital was amazingly great. GG everyone, basically. Thank you for the game. I made, well, this was such a emotional game, basically, with so much stuff going on, alliances changing and stuff like that. But in generally, I think I made couple of mistakes that I could probably do a little bit better. Well, first of all, I think the early game and helping NQ Prosperous, that was pretty okay. Well, basically the frigate attack was a failure because I couldn't reach Super Hands. But I think that going for Shumi was actually a right choice, because I believe that if he would be left in peace, he would definitely roll over everyone if he had 4 cities, basically. Even with 2 cities, he was so amazingly great at science. He caused so much trouble and havoc. He was hard to take down. He almost took Lucky Strike. He nuked Super Hans. He nuked me, so he had a huge influence on the game. So basically the choice to attack Shumi was a good idea, because I believe he could easily win much earlier than turn 211 if he would be left out in peace. So I think the bad decision making started with Super Hans attacking me. When I actually defended, I should have countered attack. I don't know if that would be worked well, but I think I had a military and hammer advantage at that point, and I could cause him a lot of trouble or even take his capital down. But it's a big maybe, because thanks to the peace with Super Hans, I was able to keep my infrastructure going and actually help Lucky Strike defend. So there could be an option where I actually take Super Hans, but then Shumi takes Lucky Strike, and I'm not able to defend against Shumi, basically. So I don't know if that was a huge mistake, but there was definitely a turn point that maybe could change a little bit in this game. Well, the next things were the huge, well, I guess the biggest mistakes were, there were 2 big mistakes late game that I made. First of all, I messed up the nuke things. Basically, I thought there were no more nukes in this game, so I didn't pay enough attention to protect my coastline. That was a huge mistake. That was a huge mistake number 1. And the second huge mistake was actually trying to go for stealth bombers in the late game. I was too overconfident going for stealth bombers before finishing the parts. If I went for the parts first, I would probably be able to hard build those parts much earlier, even if I got nuked and stuff like that. So basically, couple of mistakes, but overall a very exciting game for me. Very cool game. Thank you for the game, guys. One more time, crazy game. Pretty nice, pretty crazy game. So yeah, basically this ends up my summary. So I invite you to watch the actual game that starts on the 2nd position of the playlists. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and best wishes since it's Christmas. I don't know what do you believe in, but nevertheless, I wish all the best for all of you for the upcoming Christmas and New Year. So best wishes. Nice family time, good health, and all the stuff you would wish for. So okay, I'm gonna stop because I'm losing my voice. So one more time, best wishes, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Yours out.